Hello and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. This show gives you the best analysis when it comes to the world of sports. I am Udoka and Joko, and of course, I've got Moronfolu Kufeji right here, and we'll be doing this together. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, we also got a guest in the house, Kunle Solaja, who happens to be the chief editor of Sports Village. He'll be dropping strong analysis on the games that will be going down in the EPL today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here with you.
Where have you been?
Well, I've been around.
I learned you went to Russia sometime.
Oh, yes, I did. And that is not strange because going to Russia for the World Cup has become a normal activity for me over almost 3 decades now.
Wow. How many have you been for?
Russia 2018 was my 8th consecutive World Cup.
Wow.
So I've not missed any World Cup since Italia 90.
We also learned about the Nigerians that got stuck in Russia. I mean, it was an amazing one. But wondering why did they get stuck over there?
Well, maybe I can tell you that some of them have their intentions. Like most people, when you get out of the country, the first thing you think is you see it as an escape route. But Russia happens not to be a place where you can escape into. You will be fished out.
So you don't think this was a case of the NFF's fault or anything like that?
None of those people came on the ticket of the NFF. They were not officials. They were individual Nigerians who got stuck there. So you ask yourself, when you travel to a place, you have to have a return ticket.
Sure.
What happened to the return leg? The return arm of your ticket. So what it means is that it was a concocted this thing, because you know you can only enter a country when you show them your valid return ticket. You know, in the case of Russia, none of the fans was required to get visa. What they gave them was fan ID. Buy a World Cup ticket, a World Cup match ticket, then it will go with a fan ID, which is your identification and which also stands as your visa.
Well, you know, there's a whole lot when it comes to that story. I also heard about the fact that some of these fans were duped, that they got tickets, they had to sell tickets and all that. But I think that would be a story that we'll go into some other time. But yes, Manchester United and Leicester City, they raised the curtain on the Premier League season tonight by 8 p.m. at Old Trafford. And for the home side, I'm sure the new campaign will come as a blessed relief following a turbulent summer, knowing that Manchester United, they had a torrid time when it comes to the pre-season games. Jose Mourinho and all having banter back and forth with his club side. But the transfer window closed on the night of August 2018, and the clubs seem to have done their business.
Well, all except Tottenham, of course. They become the first club since the transfer summer window was introduced in 2003 to not have signed a single player. Now, Kunle, I just want to ask you briefly, is it because of the arrogance of Pochettino, or does he seem to have a lot of faith in his players that he's saying, I trust you so much that I'm not going to add any new players to this group of players that we have. You guys are capable of winning the league?
2 issues come into play. 1, commercial aspect of it. 2, the materials you have. 1, they may look at their books and feel that, oh, we don't have the resources to bring in any player. They sold players out, they loaned players out, but they didn't buy, which means what they wanted was the money they don't want to spend, and they possibly also feel that they have enough Arsenal with them, so there's no point buying more. Just like if you look at the part of the crisis that Manchester United are having, that the board told Jose Mourinho that make use of what you have, instead of making us to part with millions of pounds to buy materials that are not in any way better than what you have. So that what Mourinho was looking for was a quick fix, but they said they want a more lasting, a more cohesive team to be built, not just on ad hoc basis, quickly go and get 1 or 2 players. And those players that you have indicated you wanted to get are not in any way better than most of the materials you have. So that's why they deny him. And I also believe it's part of the third season syndrome that they said Mourinho always suffer from. at every third season in any club, you always have crisis.
Well, let's see how that turns out for Jose Mourinho. But from the just concluded summer transfer window, a total of £1.26 billion was spent, and Liverpool were by far the biggest spenders. Jurgen Klopp has reinforced the squad in numerous positions in the midfield and, of course, in goal. They initially had the record signing for a goalkeeper when they signed Alisson Becker from Roma for £67 million. And Liverpool also had a deal agreed last year to sign Naby Keita, Fabinho, and Xherdan Shaqiri also came in for the attack. The Reds were the only club which had a net spend of over £100 million. I mean, with what Liverpool has done in the transfer window, can we say that they are good enough to challenge for the title?
Well, of course they are. I'm sure they are targeting, to upstage Manchester City this time around. And they could have made it last season, at least at the Champions League, which unfortunately didn't go their way. Yeah. I think this season they are getting more prepared and see that at least they must have silverware at the end of the season.
But look, for Liverpool, we keep talking about who is a good coach, which club is a good club. You get to buy players, but you're not winning trophies. For the last 10 years, Liverpool has not won any major title. So why do we keep saying they are challenging?
No, that's why I've said that's why they have spent so much this season. Like even at the end of last season, they came up with a theory that when you even talk about the Champions League, they have a better record than Manchester United. So that they have won it more times, and if they had won again this last time, they will have really put a stamp of authority on their claims. But this season, considering that a club like Manchester United really didn't bubble so much, so to say, in the transfer market, and with what Liverpool has done, I could still see Liverpool as possible title contenders, if not in Europe, at least in the EPL.
Strong one.
Let's move on to our next biggest spenders. Chelsea were the next big spenders, but most of their transfer outlay was on one single player. Of course, this happened on deadline day. Thibaut Courtois forced a move to Real Madrid, and he was replaced by Kepa Arrizabalaga from Athletic Bilbao after his release clause of £71.6 million was activated, which is now a new record for signing a goalkeeper. New manager Maurizio Sarri also made his new club spend £51 million to bring Jorginho from Napoli. Where do you think Chelsea stand in this transfer window with the amount of money they spend? Do you think they're capable of pushing to win the title this season?
The world record spending they made, they were actually forced to do that because if Kratos had not left, at least very late, and with the Premier League starting that same week, the week just few days to the Premier League, he actually forced his own exit because he wanted to leave. So they had no alternative than to pay through their nose to get a goalkeeper. Are
you aware of the keeper that they bought, Kepa Arrizabalaga? Do you think they found a ready replacement for Thibaut Courtois? Well,
like Kepa himself said, because ordinarily all eyes will be on him, just like eyes were on Pogba when they signed him on the record signing in Manchester United to say, okay, what is the value, what is the real value of this player? So at the same time, there will be all eyes on Kepa to really evaluate whether it was a money well spent or not. And like he told Sky TV, that look, the pressure will not be on me. That he has always have a way of putting pressure on himself to excel in every match. That the pressure that will be on him will be a self-imposed pressure, not the pressure that is attendant to the fact that everybody, all eyes will be on him. That this one that has attracted the largest amount as a goalkeeper. And like he said, if you can spend so much on outfield players, especially strikers, time has come for goalkeepers too. To be so valued. Yeah. So, but I'm sure there'll be pressure on him. And incidentally, well, the match they are playing is away on Saturday. So let's see how he'll be able to blend into the team within just few hours of his getting into the team.
All right, Chelsea will be playing away from home to Huddersfield. But looking at the fixtures of matches kicking off later today by 8 p.m., Manchester United will battle Leicester City, and by Saturday, all the other games will be kicking off 12:30 early kickoff between Newcastle United and Tottenham Hotspur. There will also be AFC Bournemouth against Cardiff City. Fulham, well, they're back to the Premier League. They'll be taking on Crystal Palace. Huddersfield versus Chelsea. Watford will be taking on Brighton and Hove Albion. Wolverhampton will be taking on Everton, who have done pretty well in the transfers. And Liverpool on Sunday will be battling West Ham United. Southampton versus Burnley. And the Super Sunday cracker, Arsenal versus Manchester City. Interesting fixtures, I must say.
Of course, the one that will really attract the attention is the one on Sunday, which has made the day Super Sunday. So let's see how Arsenal is going to perform under the new manager and see whether they are going to, whether they still have what they call the sexy football since the professor is no longer there. So now, this is the time to now know what Arsenal is about. As an Arsenal without the prof. So the match on Sunday will actually decide that. And let's also see whether City will still keep the momentum. But I still see City as a title contender, even though that's not the club I have my soft spot for.
Now, let's not forget that even though Friday is the start of the Premier League season, it's also the start of Ligue 1 in France, where they will be kicking off with Marseille versus Toulouse. So if you're interested, give it a watch. And
of course, our focus has to be the game between Manchester United and Leicester City. The game kicks off at Old Trafford, and Jose Mourinho's squad, they bear a similar face to what they had last season. And with the inclusion of the Brazilian midfielder, Fred, which has been their only established signing alongside backup goalkeeper Legrand and promising young fullback Diogo Dalot. I mean, Manchester United fans, a bit of mixed feelings. Some of them are happy that they didn't lose most of their major players, but some are not happy because they couldn't get major signings into the club.
Even some of the players that are retained or that are still in the club are not happy because there is a near, if not an actual crisis within Manchester United. Because Jose Mourinho is not happy with the management. The management is not also too pleased with him. Some of the players too have spoken that they are not too pleased with Jose Mourinho. Consider a player like, what's his name now? Pogba saying that he never liked the comment made by Jose Mourinho about him. That the form he displayed at the World Cup, he was only hoping that he would be able to replicate it, and he sees him as an ordinary player, considering the fact that when he was brought in, he was a very, very valued player then, as at that time.
Okay, well, looking at the injury news, we know that some of the players will be missing out from Manchester United squad.
The likes of Valencia, Marcos Rojo, even their new signing, of course, is injured Diogo Dalot and Herrera, Nemanja Matic. They're missing quite a lot of players. Now, they're playing Leicester, who has their team are also missing some players. Jamie Vardy and Harry Maguire, of course, they came late from the World Cup. Do you think, more or less, that this could be a chance for Leicester to win, or are Manchester United just too good?
Under normal circumstances, you expect Manchester United to win tonight's match.
Wow.
Under normal circumstances. But because of the crisis situation there, it could be anybody's game, considering the fact that it is not just the manager having problem with the owners of the club. It's also a case of the manager, of the players, to not being too pleased with their coach. I mean, a coach saying that you wonder why fans even bother to watch their match in the
preseason friendly.
In the preseason. Yeah. So, which means you have already devalued your own club, your own brand. You are only telling that, you don't expect so much from my team. That's just a thinly veiled statement that we should not expect so much from him.
Look at the fact that they are missing out on 6 players that might not be featuring in this game. Don't you think it's something to be afraid for?
That's exactly why I'm saying that it's that has made the game to be open, to make it an anybody's game. Under normal circumstances, you will have expected that, this is an easy take for Manchester United.
Do you think after this match today, if Manchester United lose, do you think we're going to hear from Jose Mourinho saying it's because of his injuries?
Of course.
He didn't have all his players.
Of course, he has always been very outspoken. Jose Mourinho will blame everybody but himself on any issue. So, if the match happens not to go their way, you can imagine what Jose Mourinho will say. He will blame everybody but not himself.
Well, looking at some of the facts that were pulled out from this game between Manchester United and Leicester City, Manchester United are unbeaten in their last 7 Premier League games against Leicester City, winning 4 and drawing 3. And have lost just 1 of the last 18, which they've won 13 and drawn 4. And at Old Trafford, Leicester City have lost on 7 of their last 8 visits in the league. They've drawn 1, scoring a total of just 3 goals in that period. And United have won their opening fixture more often than any other side in the Premier League history, winning about 17 in that one. So these are some of the advantages that United might have against Leicester City later today.
Yeah, I concur. When a league has so much documentation, when a league has so much history behind it, that explains why that kind of league thrives. That's an attraction. That makes the league to be attractive to a global audience. I wish the Nigerian league will have a similar coloration in future.
Well, it's going to be a difficult one. And the last time United and Leicester City met on the opening weekend of a Premier League campaign was back in 1998-1999 season, which United coming back from a 2-goal down lead by Leicester City, and they came up to draw that game at Old Trafford. And this is only the second time in English Football League history that the top flight season has kicked off on a Friday, and Leicester have been involved both times. The other occasion was last season when Leicester lost to Arsenal 4-3 at Arsenal. And well, still looking at the other facts, Manchester United forward Romelu Lukaku has scored 4 goals in his last 6 Premier League games against Leicester City, though all of those strikes came while he was at Everton. And Leicester City were one of just 3 clubs the Belgian faced twice in the league last season, but failed to register a single goal or assist. Also Arsenal and Manchester City. And United's Juan Mata has scored 4 goals in his last 4 Premier League appearances against Leicester, though only one of these has come at Old Trafford. Only against Norwich, where he scored 5, has the Spaniard scored more Premier League goals than he has versus Leicester City. I mean, looking at the stats, you would still peep Manchester United to win this one, but hey, Leicester City can actually shock anyone.
Yeah, well, just like I've said before, under normal circumstances, you give this match to Manchester United. But we are in an abnormal situation when the coach is not happy. And I don't know whether, something can just trigger off within him and decide that, to prove my point that I don't have the materials, that you people didn't allow me to get the materials that I wanted, see the result.
Difficult one. I mean, if you make a prediction in this game, who would you go for?
I think based on the fact that Leicester have won only 3 of their 44 top flight away matches against Manchester United, I think it's clear to say that perhaps Manchester United have the upper hand under the lights at Old Trafford, the atmosphere, everybody would be buzzing. Of course, Leicester, their only Premier League victory at Old Trafford came in February 1998 when Kunle scored the solitary goal. And another fact just to prove that Manchester might have the upper hand, Jose Mourinho has never lost on the opening day of a Premier League campaign, winning 8 and drawing 1. Also, Manchester United had 19 clean sheets in the last season, the most in the division.
Anyway, don't forget that there's always a first time.
That's very true.
So are you scared? Are you scared?
Well, honestly, my heart is with Manchester United. But there's this saying that blessed is he that is hopeless, for he shall never be disappointed. Wow,
blessed is he that is hopeless, for he shall never be disappointed. Can we say the same for the Arsenal fans, the Chelsea fans, the Tottenham Hotspur fans who refuse to buy any player? The last time this happened was in 2004. So let's see if the hopeless can actually have hope this season by winning probably the Europa League for Arsenal or Chelsea, or the English Premier League, that is for Tottenham Hotspur. Well, that's where we draw our curtain today on today's show. I am Udoka and Joko. I enjoyed myself. I hope you did. Thank you for coming to the studio.
Thank you very much.
and of course, Moron Folukufeji.
Yes.
Looking forward to an amazing season.
Thank you. Yes, we are.
All right, till we come your way again, keep it locked down to Plus TV. For more reports on sports, do log on to our website, www.plustvafrica.com. Signing out.